First topic of the day. Dallas Cowboys, they got embarrassed in stunning fashion in Arizona. Quite literally shocked all of us watching. Cowboys defense allowed 222 rushing yards, 400 total yards, and you'll see on this play right here, Dak Prescott, a red zone interception, inevitably cost his team any final shot at the game. Can we come on camera? Because James Jones, as good as a week it's been for Shady, it's been that bad a week for you.
It has been.
Sir.
It has been.
It's been that bad a week for you. Yeah. You have the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl.
Yes, I do.
You have your former head coach Mike McCarthy in the Super Bowl.
Yes, I do.
You have the Cowboys reclaiming dominance and prominence.
Yes, I do.
You have all of these things occurring, but they lost to the Cardinals.
Yes, they did. Yes,
Shady was James. I got the James. Is these right here? That's what they be doing, James? These right here?
Yeah, them head scratchers.
These head scratchers. Shady, was James too high on the Cowboys?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. You know, it's funny that they had the power rankings every week, and they had the Cowboys, number one. Guess who number 32 was? The Cardinals. And they lost to them.
And they lost to them.
But I'm going to say this. James was just too high, right? And I hate to always be right. Right? And I don't want the credit. I don't want all the credit. But like I told James, what happens when this outstanding defense has a slow start? When they have a bad game, who's going to pick them up? We've seen Jalen Hurts. Sometimes he wasn't playing extremely well, right? Like we're used to saying. Who picks him up? The defense, right? When the defense is not playing well, who picks the defense up? Joey said it earlier, the offense. But the Cowboys, we haven't seen that. We've seen them be dominant on defense, not on offense. And when they get into the red zone, they're not scoring points. They're getting field goals. So when I ask you that point of what's holding them back, it's the quarterback. Because when it gets tough and it gets hard and the pressure, it gets up there, number 4 is going to be number 4. You know what that is? He's going to lose the game because you can't depend on him, and he's going to throw picks. And this is not me talking. This is the tape.
That's what the tape said.
That's
what the tape said.
The big eye in the sky don't lie.
That's what they say, Joy.
That's what they say. I do think you were a little too high on
I'm glad you whispered that. I appreciate it.
But, you know, we fell in love with how dominant they looked. You know, we all agreed they looked very dominant, you know, but there were just some things on one side of the ball. And I personally still feel like they are dominant on the defensive side of the ball. They had a down day. It happens. That's when the offense is supposed to pick you up if you're a complete team. But we talked about the things that we had questions about with Dallas's offense, and that's why they showed. If you really look at what happened in the 2 wins before this Cardinals loss, they had 3 turnovers, 1 pick six in a drive that started in the Giants' territory in game 1. That is defense. In game 2, they had 4 Jets turnovers. The Cowboys started 3 drives in the Jets' territory. A turnover led to a defensive touchdown.
Great field position.
Great field position.
That's right.
So what are you getting? Turnovers, great field position. That makes it easier on the offense. That's provided by the defense, the dominant defense. And what happened in game 3? No takeaways.
0.
Dallas, 6 of 8 of the drives started at the 25 after kickoffs. And the best starting field position was at the Dallas 36. So it's really not hard to figure out. The defense was doing you some solids. And you still weren't scoring because the other part of the issue was the red zone. They are, for the season, at 20% in the red zone. They're tied for 27th in the league with the Jets and the Saints.
Say them. You said it so fast.
Jets and the Saints.
So let her say it.
For the
Jets and the Saints?
This far through the season. Remember, they were really dominant in the first 2 games.
They were.
And they just lost. So for the season, even with those dominant wins, they are tied at 27th with the Jets and the Saints in the red zone. Do you know what they were last year in the red zone?
I don't.
Uno. Number 1.
So these are real issues on the offensive side of the ball. And when Dallas's defense has a down day, you end up losing to Arizona.
James, for what it's worth, I don't think you was too high on the Cowboys.
Come on now.
For what it's worth, I don't think you were.
Before I go, I'm glad you said that.
I don't think you were because if not now, then when? It's really simple. Like, when I look at the Cowboys team, I say to myself, well, the Cowboys have all the players. When I look at the Cowboys coaching staff, I say, well, the Cowboys have the coaching staff. Dan Quinn, Super Bowl head coach. He went to the Super Bowl in 2016, did not win it. Super Bowl defensive coordinator, won as a defensive coordinator. When I look at Mike McCarthy, clearly a Super Bowl winning head coach. So coaches, check. Coordinators, check. Players, check. So how in the world did they lose to the Cardinals? Like, they didn't lose to the Cardinals because the Cardinals are a more talented team than them. They didn't lose to the Cardinals because the Cardinals have a better coaching staff than them. Jonathan Gannon is in his 3rd game as a head coach. His 3rd game. So then the question is, why'd they lose? And in my mind, they lost because they did not come with it.
No, they
but
didn't.
I don't blame you being too high on the Cowboys because I didn't think the downfall of the Cowboys would be a lack of intensity. Micah Parsons is there for that.
Yeah.
I didn't think the downfall of the Cowboys would be a lack of scheme. Dan Quinn is there for that. I didn't think the downfall of the Cowboys would be penalties. Mike McCarthy is there for that. So I did not at all anticipate that they would fall like they fell to the Arizona Cardinals. Losing to the Eagles, bet, say less. Lose to the Niners week 5, cool, I can see that. But losing to the Arizona Cardinals, that's not about talent.
No.
That's about intensity. That's about focus. And that was about coaching execution. I don't think you were too high because if not now, then when, America?
No, and listen, right? Number one, Coach Mike is my dude, but I do blame that on Coach Mike because it's easy to overlook opponents. You talk about the number 1 team and you talk about the number 32 team after last week, right? At least that's what everybody had. So for me, we've all walked on the field saying we finna slap these boys. We have all walked on the field like that and looked up in the fourth quarter like, this thing tied? Are we down? We losing? They got hit in the mouth. They lost, right? Red zone, they do got to get better at. But you had over 400 yards of offense, 185 yards rushing. They did not stop the Dallas Cowboys all game long. They were moving the ball up and down the field. So if you're telling me that the red zone is one of the issues that has to get fixed, but we are moving the ball, I will take that because I believe Coach Mike and Dak Prescott will get that fixed, whatever it may be, whether it's running the ball in the red zone a little bit more, whether it's Dak Prescott using his legs in the red zone a little bit more. I think they will find ways to put some points up on the board. But number 2, it's hard to get in the red zone. Right? You see Cincinnati Bengals, they're struggling to even move the football. That's not a Cowboys problem. They are moving this ball at will on anybody they played this season. They are just not finishing the drives. That is stuff that can get corrected. So with that being said, I don't think I was too high on them. Trust me, a lot can change over 1 week, and that's what is happening on this show right now. A lot has changed over 1 week. Let me get it out, Shady. And Shady feeling good. Joy at least whispered it to me. You know what I'm saying? But that's what happens. But these are things that can get corrected, Shady.
Couple things, right?
Yep.
Just to kind of
That's
follow
2
what
things.
You
You got 2 things.
Okay, couple things. We talked about the offense. You told me that the reason why they have to pull out all the offensive weapons and all the different plays because defense is playing so great.
Yes.
That's what you told me, right?
Yes.
So my thing is when you can't score in the red zone and you need to have some shots. If we can't score in the red zone, we got to score somehow, some way. Why didn't they open up the playbook then? Because the reason is, if you really watch the game, they are terrified to throw the ball with Dak, right? It's like all safe passes. There's no down the field. They're not pushing the ball down the field at all. Yeah. And then when I watch them, you talk about the red zone that it's easy to fix. See, the problem is they've been beating teams so bad that we didn't see the issue. But I've seen the issue before. I said when they won against the Giants, I said, bro, they are getting to the red zone. They're not scoring. They're putting field goals. So when they do have a really good team, we're not even talking about a good team. They played the Cardinals. Bad team. And they still lost. So imagine when they play a team like the Eagles, the Niners, that, okay, we can put points up. We can score. They're averaging 30. It's going to be even bad. And the thing is, we haven't seen Dak throw a lot of picks because the pass or the play call is easy for him.
Yeah.
We're not risking anything. But it's going to be some 3rd and 9. It's going to be some 3rd and 10. It's going to be some 2nd and 12. It's going to be some of that.
He's going to have to make some plays if they're going to be a good football team.
And that's the issue.
I got a question for you.
Holla at me.
Do you think this defense is going to give up over 400 yards a game? Or do you think this defense is a really good defense?
No. I think this defense is great.
Thank you.
But one thing I've seen about that Cardinals game, they got out-coached.
They did.
Hold up. You gave all this credit on defensive player or coaches and all that, and Mike McCarthy. That's cool.
Yeah.
You turn that tape on, they got out-coached.
And that's why I started off.
So I don't think that this defense will get exposed because they're that good.
Thank you.
But they can have bad days because we all have that.
No question. And
they have that. So
they had a bad day.
They got 14 more games. I can guarantee you this. The Cowboys will have another bad game on defense. That's football.
That's fine.
That's football.
And if we 15-2, or if they 15-2, we good with that. But
you see what I'm saying, it's going to happen again.
This is all I'm saying, though. You're saying change a bunch of stuff like Dak is going to have to push this ball way down the field. This defense is not going to play like that consistently. So nothing really has to change. The only thing that they need to correct is the red zone. Shady, I don't care if it's...
You're doing it again?
But I'm saying I don't care if it's go balls down the field. However, we have to move the football. That's all that matters. And they moved the football. They had over 400 yards.
Hold your disappointment. Joy, got to get in.
The issue with the Cowboys has never been that I won't say never, but it's not usually that they don't have a quality coach. or a quality defensive coordinator or a quality offensive coordinator or quality talent, right? The issue is the Cowboys beat themselves. They had a lot of talent last year. We feel like they have a little bit better talent last year. They're an extremely talented team last year.
Yeah, they were good last year. They were talented last year.
We're not going to make it seem like they did not have a talented team last year. They were very, very talented last year. They're all-pro receiver, and most of what they have this year, they've only added to it. Right? So they're a very talented team last year. Why did they lose in the postseason? Was it because of the defense?
No.
It was because they beat themselves. What are they doing right now? Beating themselves. Yeah, they had all those yards, all those stats, all the running, great. Score the points. If you scored in the red zone, by the way, you're playing the Jets, who obviously we think has a good defense, but was on the field all day long because their offense wasn't good. Right. You get tired. Even great defenses get tired playing as much as they had to play. The Giants, who we don't think much of, and the Cardinals, who we think nothing of. Yeah. So if you're struggling in the red zone against those teams, what are you going to do against the teams that are for real?
Come on now.
So it's not just that, like, okay, we know we can get stats. We know we can get yards. We know we can get there. Getting there and not scoring is a problem. And it's the same thing with the Cowboys. It's like if you say anything critical about the Cowboys, it's like scandalous. Like, do we not all have the same stats? Do we not all watch the same game?
Right.
I got some good ones.
Are we in a different dimension?
I got some good ones on the game.
I don't know. Because being tied with the Jets and the Saints for red zone efficiency right now does not seem like a stat that I would hang my hat on. But
you being hard again, though.
I'm just. I
taught you a lesson last week, and you still don't want to learn.
I just let you know. Hey, keep staying tuned in to speak all year long, because when the Cowboys get this thing turned around, I'm gonna act a fool.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.